Welcome to the secret history living inside your aquarium. Today I want to show you this amazing uh, miracle of life. So we have another set of angels laying eggs. Also in the same tank, I have some Pisto Hongslois, and this is a female. If the male comes around, I'll show you him. He's coloring up nicely. Got them from Aquatic Arts, as well as these Turkish blue angelfish from Aquatic Arts. And they're fairly young, I guess 8 months, I would venture to guess. I've had them about 3 or 4 months. No, I guess I've had them 4 months, yeah. So I guess they could be up to a year, something like 8 months to a year. But you can see that this turquoise blue and seafoam green kind of colorful gal, she is called the Turkish green angel, and she's just beautiful. And you can see that she has her ovipositor out, which is basically a little tube where she lays eggs, and she's going to chase away the other angelfish, which luckily it looks like everybody has paired off. I mean, literally everyone is paired off, which is great. Now, the male, who happens to be my other favorite fella over here, has those long blue lines, and then he's got the zebra stripes with some gold. What he's doing right now is he's laying down milt. So he is, there's not really a different way to say it, so you're going to learn about the birds and bees today, kids. Milt, so that means sperm. He is putting sperm all over the eggs here, and he also will knock some off. But there's also a process going on here where she's either picking them up or eating the ones that fall, so she retains that protein, can reconvert it back into energy. And then this is the first time she's ever spawned, so you can also assume that she will be a little skittish, not really sure what to do. She probably will end up eating some of her eggs, if not just her young. May run off and eat rather than actually sticking around to reproduce and watch what she has created. But you can see she actually did a really good job of laying her eggs in lines, which is great. These lines and little clusters, because that keeps them separated. And if the fungal activity starts or bacteria starts to grow, they're far enough apart that basically it usually will not take hold. So that is great. She's doing a really good job of that. I mean, it's all instinct and then a little bit of practice with cichlids. They do have personalities. They do learn. They learn what to do and what not to do. The more babies they lay, or the more clusters of eggs they have, the better. Also, you can see the Plecos right here. We've got the... so this guy is a leopard frog, 138, I believe, 134, 138. Leopard frog, Peclotia or Peclodia. He is a scavenger and or you could say meat eater of a pleco, and so he is waiting for any eggs to fall that he can eat, and that's what he's doing there. The other pleco also waiting for eggs, but really I've seen the leopard frogs really like waiting with bated breath, hoping that somebody drops an egg, which you do see, especially with younger parents. Now, I want to take note and tell you guys, if you guys like watching my fish when they do their thing, spawning, breeding, when I am just kind of observing them and I see something like this going on, please go ahead and like this video. You know, sometimes people feel like I've seen it, doesn't matter. But for me, I think they each have character. There he goes, milting again. You can see he's flapping his fins, his pectoral fins, very heavily in reverse, which then keeps it downstream, and it has these sticky follicles on the sperm, which then embed on the cell of the egg. And the egg right now actually has these little keyhole-like situations on the surface, and the little sticky-headed sperm will grab onto that egg, and then it needs to burrow by swimming into that egg in order to fully fertilize it. And then after that, it needs to not rot, which actually you saw the last batch that Sergio and Jane had. You saw that batch rot. Unfortunately, it got mold, and then they decided to eat it pretty swiftly after. Now, he is also scaring off any intruders, I guess, that are coming by, the other pair of angels. And they seem to be nipping at each other. Could be a sign that they've decided to pair off, in that these two are a foregone conclusion that they're together. They love having plants. If you're trying to breed angelfish on your own, the water's about 77 degrees. You can keep it warmer than that, up to about 82, 84. But they like anything 76 to 84 is fine, usually spawning at around 78, 77, 79, I don't know. And it's just a really cool thing to watch. If you've already had fish like guppies, endlers, mollies, platies, this is definitely a step up in what you would be keeping next. I would heavily recommend keeping something like this and trying to spawn this, as well as something like these Corridoras, or the Rams, or other Corridoras, or Plecos for that matter. All of them are great egg-laying spawners that have cool activity. Now, cichlids, though, which angelfish happen to be, are definitely one that takes the cake for care. And out of all the South American species of fish, you got all these tetras and things, none of them really care for their fish, for their fry, their babies. However, cichlids, these fish, they're going to be guarding this leaf as if their life depended on it if they do so correctly, as well as tumbling the eggs, cleaning them off in their mouth, and moving them accordingly if they start to rot or have any problems. Now, you might ask yourself, how do I get this to happen? Well, today I added 10 gallons of cold water. And when I say cold, I mean about 10 or 15 degrees cooler than the 80 degrees this tank was up to this morning. And I took 5 gallons out. There had been quite a bit of evaporation, and so I ended up putting probably 8 to 10 gallons of water that was about 65 degrees into the tank. So it dropped the whole tank temperature a good, I would say, 5 degrees for a little while, and that simulates the monsoon for them. This works as well with Corridoras. That is a great trick from catfish breeders, and just a lot of fish in general. The ember tetras will probably be spawning, but that doesn't really matter because they're going to drop their eggs onto the floor and then swim off and forget about it. But you can really see the care that these fish, the angelfish, go to. Now these guys want food if it drops down. You can see the care that they go to when placing the eggs. They want to put them in the row, not touching one another ideally, so that they can catch that flow of current. It's so that they don't rot. It's so that they have a nice little sterile spot on the mat, so to speak, for them to grow. And then inevitably, usually a few do rot or get that they start to get a bacteria or a mold, fungi, and then what the fish will do is actually eat that and eat those eggs and get rid of them. Now, she also has quite a bit of reserve in her belly. You can see she's not getting rid of all her eggs. You can still see she has easily 100 eggs, I would guess. And she has that ovipositor still out. So she may still be laying eggs. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll lay some eggs and give it a test, and then if they can lay them without predators coming in, they'll keep laying. Now, another thing that you can provide for them to help them out, to get them breeding, it's so cool seeing the male take over and just, polishing off that line of eggs, making sure that it's all fertilized. But yeah, so in any case, sorry. These are the moments that I love keeping fish, breeding fish. And this channel, I really want to show you guys that all of my tanks pretty much are tanks that I can sit and watch and enjoy the fish just as fish. They're tanks where the fish breed and spawn. They're where plants grow. I always have at least 3 species spawning in a tank the way I set them up. That's just, for me, in an apartment, that's the kind of use of space I feel is needed. And basically, I just think that watching these guys, setting them up for success, and then sitting back and just enjoying nature doing its thing, you learn so much, and it makes you think of so many questions, and then you yourself start to grow a lot more too. Plus, it's very nice to know that you set up a home for these fish that is relaxing enough or nutritious enough food-wise, and meets the criteria for them to survive, and not just survive, but thrive and reproduce. So here's that other Hongsley Apistogramma I wanted to show you. This is the male, and he is still a little small, but they don't get too much bigger than this. He will color up significantly when spawning. He'll get a yellow belly. He'll turn really bright pink, purple, lavender, blue, and lilac. Kind of the colors you see now, but stronger. Those diamonds on his side and squares on his side will get even brighter. And the ram here is a very close relative, and he is a definite, well, not a he, there's blue in the spots there, so this is one of the female rams. That big black spot on the side wouldn't have blue in it if it were a male, but since there are some blue spots in the margin, we're going to assume that's a female, even though the fins are angled back a bit more. The body and face are kind of rounded. That's a tough call, though, when they're young sometimes. But in any case, my point is that I was just setting up this cave for the Hongsley Apistogramma, and, we've already had the babies spawn that are Corydoras. And, oh, here's the Hongsley female. See, she's not very colorful right now. Not a sight to behold quite yet, but, oh, hello. She's mad at me. She likes this area already. That's good. She puffed up her fins, and I think she'll probably claim this corner as her little spot, which is just fine with me. That would be great. Now, I am curious to see how much bacteria is in this tank, because the fish will have to contend with keeping it clean. How do they do that? Well, water circulation also. What you see right now when he is layering milt onto the eggs, he also is putting his pheromones and his immunity, his immune system, his secretions from his biofilm, and his testosterone, hormone, all that stuff comes into play, and they start actually, it can send triggers to happen in different eggs, in different fish. Right now, the other fish can definitely sense that these two are spawning, laying eggs. The other angels want that. They want that as well for themselves. And this male here is definitely pouty. He would definitely be seeing, hey, can I get in on that? And this one probably is a male also. It could be a female, but it's probably a male. But I just wanted to share with you guys this awesome moment. I know I showed you guys Sergio, but these two are going to need a name now. Sergio and Jane are named from the infamous Jane's Addiction song. And so I thought maybe sticking with that musical theme, we could come up with something. So whoever names these fish, if these fry make it, I'll probably steal some of the eggs and raise them downstairs, put them in methylene blue or an egg tumbler, and just make sure that it works out, if that makes sense. See, he's chasing them both away. So I think that probably is a male. That's where those hormones come back into play. The fish can tell a lot that we can't. We're just looking, and they are in this aquatic world. Now, she's also, again, rubbing herself on there to make sure that her pheromones and biofilm is on there to protect the fish, the fry that will be soon to hatch. But then she's also reorganizing constantly and kind of turning the eggs, making sure the adhesive sort of quality is on there, and then he's doing the same. Then they're both fanning, and it kind of takes a bit to cure. So they'll hatch in, I guess 3 to 5 days pretty much, sometimes sooner, sometimes longer. And